What's going on, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and side hustlers everywhere? One of the important topics we often talk about is, listen, if you're going to win this game of life and business, you've got to win the money game. You've got to be able to put your money somewhere where it's working for you. As Warren Buffett says, if you spend your whole life working for money instead of making money, earning it while you sleep, then you'll always be, working constantly and never actually growing. And so today we've got an amazing guest. We've got Melanie. And she and her husband, Dave, are amazing investors. They've got a great story, a big event that happened that really led them to make massive changes and eventually leave that 9-to-5 life that many of us begin with and go into complete independence as business owners, investors, etc. So very excited to get into Melanie's story today. So Melanie and Dave, and Melanie, I'm sorry, you've got to say your last name. Is that French?
Yeah, it is French. DUPUIS.
DUPUIS. Perfect. I should have had my mom. She speaks French, lived in Quebec for a couple of years. So Melanie and Dave DUPUIS are well known as Investor Mel and Dave. They are innovative real estate investors, best-selling authors, and award-winning mentors who have solely acquired over 240 apartments in just a few short years. And what's most interesting is they do it in different countries. They live in Canada and Ontario, obviously invest there. They're in the US. They're also in Mexico, Costa Rica, and the Dominican Republic. I'm very interested to find out how that works. And their strategy gives them the ability to purchase properties without using any of their own money or relying on joint ventures. It also allows them to own 100% of the property, which means they keep 100% of the equity, cash flow appreciation, tax depreciation, et cetera, et cetera. So very interested to dive into Mel and Dave's story. Mel, welcome to the podcast.
There are over 32 million businesses in the US, and over 90% of them will never break 7 figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that 7 figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-7 figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go.
Hey, Leo, great to be here. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So what we love to do is kind of start out by finding a little bit more about your background. What were some of the key events that led you and Dave to eventually, ditch the 9-to-5, start your own business, become real estate investors and teach others? What did you guys, were you always kind of thinking about entrepreneurship, maybe as kids, as you were growing up, or was there some key events that happened that kind of changed the trajectory of your life?
Yes, all the above. So yes, I think I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I actually went to school in business. That's my background is business. And Dave, although he was a firefighter, I remember when we started,
that's cool.
When we started dating, I remember him telling me that he was going to be a millionaire someday, and this came from a guy who canceled their first date because he couldn't pay his hydro bill. So, and he admittedly says that. So, so we had the drive, we had the want, but we didn't have the tools and the strategies and all of that. We definitely knew that real estate investing was the way to get there. And we can dive into that as well a little bit deeper on why. So we did what most people do. We started the traditional way of investing. So when I met him, I had 2 properties already. He had the one, and we used our own funds to purchase the next few and refinance the one I had and those types of things. But then, of course, common roadblock, we ran out of money. And that's what happens often as you try to grow your portfolio. And with 3 kids, I really want to be able to spend time with them now as they're still young, as opposed to waiting for retirement and they're gone. So timing was really, really important to us. So it's like, hey, we have to find a way to do this at a way faster pace. And then we were in Florida on a trip with the kids, and we listened to Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And that was that moment where, although it didn't show us how to do it, but the mindset completely changed. And we thought, oh my goodness, we are doing it completely wrong. We were both working multiple jobs, working all the time, trying to save for that next down payment. And that's when we had the mind shift, and we learned as much as we could about creative financing. And the next year we bought 12 properties. in 12 months. And that was using none of our own money and no joint venture partners or multifamily properties. And since then, that's exactly what we continue to do as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So interesting. Always had this idea that you were going to be, you're going to create wealth for yourselves. You've got 3 kids, so there's some urgency. We want to do it now. We don't want to wait until the kids are, all grown, and then finally, we have some time freedom, and that's what wealth can do, is give you time freedom. And I love that your husband, Dave, is fireman. I find sometimes that people that have such great values and principles from jobs like that, or even people who have been a part of sports teams, like there's something special that happens there with the work ethic and the discipline that it takes to succeed. Maybe delayed gratification is part of that. But you said in there that you always knew that real estate was the way. What was it about real estate that you and Dave were like, real estate is our path to freedom? Why were you guys so confident that that was the case?
For me, it's the stability and the history of real estate as well. So if you study real estate, and there's tons of chart on this, and of course there's fluctuations in any markets, but it always increases despite the slight up zigzag like anything else. It always increases in value. And if I was going to leave my full-time job, we both had unionized pension jobs. It was really important to us that we invested in something that we felt was really the best way to put our funds or other people's money as well, and something that was true and proven. And I mean, if you study even during the pandemic, excuse me, even during the pandemic, people need water, food, and shelter. So we're providing an essential service as well.
Absolutely, Mel. And so real estate is this amazing opportunity. Now, there's a lot of, articles written by people from Wall Street where they'll compare, well, actually, stocks have averaged 8 to 9% a year, going back the last 20 years or 30 years. If you look at the S&P 500 here in the U.S., and you look at housing prices in general are usually 5% a year, but there's a big misconception there because there's this thing called leverage with real estate. You can't really leverage a stock. You kind of have to buy whatever share you're buying, and you get whatever appreciation. It goes up, it goes down, et cetera. And very few stocks actually pay big cash flow. Dividends are very small. So with real estate, tell us a little bit about strategically how you can leverage it. And more importantly, how are these strategies of, you guys went from having 3 properties to buying 12 in 12 months. And it sounds like you did it very creatively. I guess 2 questions. Why is real estate a better investment typically than stocks? Why are you more confident in it? I know I am too, but why are you? And then number 2, how did you guys buy 12 properties in 12 months? That's unbelievable.
Yes, absolutely. And why? I mean, even if you look at it this way, if you go to financial institutions and say, hey, I want a loan to invest in stocks, they're going to laugh at you. They're not going to lend you any money compared to if you go to financial
institutions. Very true.
And you say, I want to buy a property, they'll say, well, okay, as long as the deal makes financial sense, of course, right? They won't fund a deal where, especially as you grow, your numbers and your ratios have to make sense. It should be profitable. And of course, we want that as investors as well. But that's huge. Even the financial institution invests in real estate, right? And it really, that for me, it was just something that is consistent, that I can pass on to my kids. I have numerous benefits of it. We can go on vacation there, and there's tax write-offs. Like, there's just so many benefits that we saw in real estate that it was no question that all day, every day, that's the majority of our funds that are all into real estate, because again, it's just always been proven over time to increase in value. And then
absolutely. So how did you guys buy 12 properties in 12 months? That's amazing. So you went from owning 3 to, wow, let's jump to a portfolio of 15. And how does that work? What's the strategy?
And we were still, back then, because we didn't have enough money, of course, we were still working full time and 3 kids. And so we're still working. Were we busy? Absolutely. So are we an overnight success? Absolutely not. People who don't know us might think, oh, they got lucky. No, we worked really, really hard. And that's the journey of all business owners and investors. I mean, that's just a reality. You have to put some time into it, of course. So that year we worked really hard. We got up really early in the mornings before my kids would get up. So that would be our time. And And then at nighttime, well, we basically went to bed at the same time as our kids, so we could do it all over again, type of thing. And we didn't watch any TV except for cartoons.
No, I think that's an important key. I think you better mention that again.
Yeah, no TV. We reprioritized what was important to us. And the only time we watched TV was, of course, family time, movie nights, those types of things with our kids. But outside of that, we replaced that. Instead of doing that, maybe I'd listen to a podcast, or maybe I'd crunch some numbers or try to find deals or those kind of things as well. So just really prioritizing that year, what was important to me, of course, my kids. So that was number one. So, okay, well, we need to find time outside of when my kids are awake. That meant getting up really, really early and going to bed so we can manage to do this, and was it perfect? Sometimes I sleep in, of course, we're all human, but overall, our why became so strong. And I think that's what really helped us, Leo, is that I really knew that I wanted to spend that time with my kids. I remember seeing my little guy get on the school bus, and I didn't want to miss that. I wanted to see him on the school bus. I wanted to see him get off the school bus. And that was really, really important to me. And that was why we decided to go very aggressive on it. And it was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it as well. We were doing it as a couple. We had a lot of fun. We met some great people. And of course, because we weren't using our own funds, we were using creative financing strategies. And many of that in that particular year, a lot of it was owner finance deal, which is the same thing as seller financing or vendor take backs, if you ever heard of that. That was huge. Yeah. It was a great way to buy properties. Like yes, now we're all over social media and people often know us, but back then we weren't. We still are, but we were just Mel and Dave, and people don't lend to you because they necessarily know you from the past. They lend to you because it benefits them, especially when it comes to seller financing. Like I hold financing on 4 different properties that I've sold throughout the years as well. And why would I don't even know what they look like. Why would I do that as an investor? Is because, well, I know they have the exit strategy because I ran my numbers on it, of course, but it also benefits me from a tax perspective and those kind of things as well. Making interest, and I don't even have the property and I'm still making money, right? It's that true continuous income that you're able to achieve.
Absolutely. Just a lot of value bombs there that Mel is dropping for you guys. So first of all, as you're acquiring these properties, you're using creative financing techniques and owner seller financing, where instead of having to go get the regular mortgage and jump through all those hoops, and boy, there's a lot of them, and it still hasn't gotten much easier over the last 10, 15 years to get a mortgage, especially if it's apartment building or a single family or whatever it is, the investment you're looking at. And so when you can do owner financing, it can be much easier. And what's interesting, Mel, I think over the next 12 to 18 months, there's going to be more opportunities for owner financing deals, because what's happened obviously is people are watching and interest rates have gone up substantially, and that's making it much more difficult to make those numbers work. But a lot of the existing owners who want to sell these properties still have those low interest rates locked in, for a longer period of time. And so there's going to be, I believe, an unprecedented opportunity. What are you and Dave seeing in the market right now in terms of opportunities for creative financing deals versus maybe the last couple of years?
Well, you said it bang on. Very well said, Leo. I couldn't have said it any better. That's exactly what we're seeing as well in the market right now, is opportunities for the reason you described, right? If interest rates are going up, perhaps financial institutions may not approve somebody. Well, if let's say I want to sell my property because I either just want to retire or I want to put it to a next deal and I want to liquidate my portfolio or my property, well, I might be more open to holding financing, whether it's 20% or 50% or 100% if it's paid off. You're just more open to it as well. So that's exactly what we're seeing, is more and more sellers who are open to creative financing. And that's the thing, interest rates, often I hear people saying, oh, double digits, and not necessarily. I mean, when I bought 12 properties in 12 months, I had 3%, I had 5%, I had 7%. They don't have to be these crazy numbers. Have I ever paid double digits in different formats of creative financing? Yes. And some people say, well, that's crazy. But again, absolutely not, because the numbers made sense. I got into the deal within my own money. I cash flowed from day one. I was able to make a couple $100,000 in a short period of time, right? So the interest rate, absolutely, of course, it matters what you're going to be paying. But as an investor, what's really, really important is to run your numbers and look at the bigger picture. if I'm able to still cash flow, if I have my exit strategy and I know how I'm going to be paying everybody back, whether it's owner financing or secured funds that I might use or a promissory note, and I'm able to still make a great profit, who cares if the other person wins as well? That's okay. You want them to make money as well, because that often makes repeat business over and over again.
Win-win scenarios, mutually beneficial, et cetera, et cetera. That's huge. And so as you're looking, at these deals, and investors are listening to this, or people who are really, wondering, is now a good time? Should I wait a year to look to find these deals? And so I think a lot of people think sometimes real estate investing, they think, oh, I'm going to do a flip, all these flipping shows, all these very short term, buy it, fix it up, flip it, move it, make your money, and move on. For the next couple years, do you think people, investors specifically, should be focused on short-term flips, or should they be more focused on cash flow, longer-term holds, 3, 5, 7 years, and really benefiting from the longer-term aspects of real estate?
I mean, I typically always have a plan of the longer play, just in case something happens, something outside of your control. So have I done flips throughout the years? Absolutely. Do I have some properties that I've had for many, many years and I still hold them? Absolutely as well. And this is where having more than one exit strategy. So right now in this market, absolutely trying to flip might be a little bit harder. Doesn't mean it can't be done though. You can still do it if you find the right kind of deals, and depending which market you're investing in. I mean, there's a lot of different things to consider, but it's also maybe not a bad idea to have a plan, and more than one plan. And that's how we've always purchased our properties. Some properties I had a plan of maybe holding it, and I was able to flip it and sell it, and a new deal came on, and I was like, okay, I'll take those funds and put it to this one as well. And that's great if it makes sense to do so. But I've also had some deals where I thought I was going to flip them, and then I realized I can make just as much money if I hang on, and it's going to really increase even more in a year or two in value, and I hang on to it. So overall, right now we're not focusing on flipping. We buy and hold. We're focusing on buy and hold.
Outstanding. And I agree with that, because here's what happens, guys. If you get stuck with, and I guess there's a difference, right? As long as you can always rent the property out, cash flow, cover your expenses, even if you're doing a flip, you're still going to be okay. You just might have to wait it out longer. And so, if you've got investors who are putting up kind of the down payment money or the fix up, or someone lending that to you, then you have to be aware that those things can happen. But as long as you don't get into a property that just is going to not rent out and pay the bills, then you can usually come out okay. But if you make a mistake that I made about 12, 13 years ago, where I had properties that there was no way that the rent payments were going to be able to cover all the expenses, then that's where you can get in trouble with some of these short-term flips. And I feel like you said, you've got to control what you can control. If you have a longer-term view of things, then you have much less risk, and you can always cash flow and wait for the property, because it eventually will come back and appreciate, and you'll win all the tax benefits, et cetera. So for a lot of people who are maybe, looking to get more into this game, and as Warren Buffett says, you should be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Well, right now there's a lot of fear out there, and a lot of people are afraid, and clearly there's a lot of opportunities. And so now is actually the time you should be a little bit more greedy, looking for deals. But what you don't want to do is just try to reinvent the wheel and make mistakes that can be very, very costly. And finding a mentor, a coach, someone who's got a roadmap for success and steps to achieve what you want. I mean, it's as simple as, hey, Mel and Dave have already, gone and created this roadmap of success. Maybe I should just ask them for directions instead of trying to reinvent this and do this all on my own, watch a few YouTube videos. What are some of the ways that they can kind of, go through and learn more about real estate investing, and maybe potentially even have you and Dave act as a type of mentor, coach? What are some of the opportunities available for those who are looking for investment opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. We have lots of content. We're on all social media platforms, on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and TikTok. And we also have a free masterclass that we've prepared where we literally show you on the whiteboard these kind of strategies, whether it is owner financing or promissory notes or secured funds like 401k or RSPs, for example. So if you reach out to us, or I can send you, maybe you'll want to put it, it's iloveopm.com is one of the links.
Oh, what a great website. I love opm.com. OPM standing for other people's money. So I love opm.com. Boy, what a great website that was. When did you guys get that?
Oh, we've had it for a while now, but yeah, or
that's a good one.
Thank you. Or investormeldave.com as well. If you reach out to us at any kind of social media platform, I'll send you the link as well. You can watch that. And then if you're interested, it's the Action Family Mentoring Program. That's exactly what we teach. And we'll show you step by step how to do all that with the support in the community and everything else you need. But book a call with one of our team members and they'll be able to go over all that with you as well.
That's fantastic, guys. So I love opm.com, investormelandave.com, just a lot of resources, content. And as I always say on this podcast, this is not a passive podcast. This is an active one where you take action to get results. And that means you learn and you don't just listen passively to Mel and say, oh, that's amazing stuff, Mel, but you actually take the action and follow a proven system to make that happen. One of the questions that I have is I've always been a little bit cautious of venturing outside of the U.S. with my real estate investments. You and Dave are in Canada. You're in the U.S. You're in the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Mexico. What are all the opportunities and how did you guys get comfortable with investing outside of, some of the main countries, the US, Canada? What are some of the things you should be looking at or, understand before making that jump?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different things in different areas as well. The reason we decided was we just really wanted to diversify our portfolio. We kept seeing all these great opportunities worldwide in different areas as well that we wanted to invest in. Of course, having in different countries, it's a great place to go on vacation if you want. There's different benefits from that as well. As far as getting comfortable with it, I mean, at some point, the key is action, right? We just had to take action and actually do it. That fear is always there. Anytime you're going to do anything different, it's always a little bit there, of course. However, it was really making sure that that we ran our numbers, that we were working with our team of specialists, right? Investor focused accountant, investor focused attorney or a lawyer, cross-border attorneys, all those people in place. So making sure that we really had our team as well, really running our numbers the same way that we would if the deal was in my backyard as well. Some of the connection was pretty neat. Like actually my Dominican Republic deal, it came through me through one of my students, which pretty neat. She was doing, she's from New Jersey, or they're from New Jersey. They bought a couple properties there and did 100-door development in Dominican Republic. And yeah, I interviewed her on one of my YouTube shows. And when I interviewed them, I was like, wait a second, this is really neat. And I know they're well trained. So I looked at it and I ran my numbers and that's how we kind of, I always wanted to invest in Dominican Republic, but that one kind of happened even faster. So sometimes it's having that network as well, right? Having the right people that get to know, like, and trust and as part of your team as well.
That's awesome. Was that Punta Cana, Santo Domingo? Like where?
Punta Cana, yes.
Punta Cana. Okay, yeah. Very cool. That's awesome. We always love to go to Playa del Carmen, just south of Cancun, every single year. And I'm curious so how does ownership work? Is there anything where the government still owns part of the property if you buy it? Do you have to buy it all cash? Can you get any kind of financing if you put 25% down? What are how does that work in Mexico?
Yeah, and it's difficult because every single country is different. And that's where it's a little bit more difficult. Mexico, out of all the properties that we purchased, probably was the most complicated. My experience, just to get everything set up, it just seems to have taken longer. And I don't know why, it just seemed like the structure just seemed to be moving slower. So that one was definitely the most challenging. Costa Rica was really simple. I found We negotiated a deal, with owner finance deal actually in Costa Rica with a promissory note. So that was a lot more simplistic. So it really depends on each specific area.
Yeah.
This is where I think I would say, like, if somebody's thinking about diversifying their portfolio, pick one or two markets, because otherwise you're going to be spending years and years just trying to figure out like, where do you enjoy, where do you see a potential. I love Costa Rica, for example. I think it's an amazing place to invest. Our property's already increased in value. I want to continue to buy there as well. So that was definitely one market, for example, that I wanted to. Same with Mexico. And then say, okay, well, what do I need to do there to do with all that? And then, well, I'm not the expert at it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the tax expert or the structural expert. I buy properties. So I rely on the team. Okay, well, here, this is what I need. This is what I want to do. Can you guys do my business structure and set everything up?
Wow, incredible. Yeah, one of our really good friends, investors, and build up a pretty good real estate portfolio here, and their house that they had bought had appreciated a bunch here in Utah, so they sold it, cashed out, and then I think they bought a property down there in Costa Rica, and then they were setting up like a gym. And so that was kind of cool watching them do it. And yeah, it seemed like it was pretty easy. What are your and Dave's thoughts on opportunities with short-term rentals, Airbnb, Vrbo type properties? And what are some of the factors that people should be aware of when looking at those types of opportunities versus a straight up cash flow, single family or multifamily that you're just going to have long-term renters in?
Yeah, absolutely. When we first started, everything was multifamily for us, pretty much.
Yeah.
We have some storage, mixed use, those kind of things, and some are small,
cool.
Triplex, and we have the big 50plex. So everything kind of in between. And the reason we really started with that is because we had no money. So cash flow was really, really important. That consistent cash flow. Can you make money with short-term rentals? Absolutely. Do I invest in short-term rentals? Absolutely. Were they my first ones? No. And why? It's just because I just didn't have enough money and I wanted to quit my job and I needed that continuous income. My only thing with short-term rentals is that certain things can be out of your control. And you have to have a plan for that. And now I do, because I'm in a financially different situation than I was 4 years ago or 5 years ago, of course, when we were getting started. But I think that's really important to know that as well. So can you make money off short-term rentals? Yes. Okay, great. But what if something happens? What if nobody saw COVID happening and all of a sudden you're not renting quite as much? What's your backup plan? And if you have a backup plan, then great. Okay, go ahead. But you need to ask yourself that, because it's not an essential. People can stop traveling, or might be forced to stop traveling as well. So that would be my only thing. Can you make money? I think, is it a great investment? Can they have great appreciations? All those things? Absolutely. That's why I'm still actively investing in short-term rentals. But multifamily properties are definitely the foundation of my portfolio.
Definitely. I think lower risk, because people always need a place to live versus a place to vacation. A little bit higher risk, unless it's, I think, in unique areas like Orlando and other areas that are almost always going to have the traveling and so forth. But well, Mel, it's been amazing learning and asking these questions from you. Obviously, I think the audience has gained a lot of value. And guys, make sure you go to iloveopm.com and investormelandave.com. Take action, learn more. She's got a masterclass for you to get more information. And sometimes it's just about finding not only the person or people with the right roadmap, but just somebody that you connect with. And so if you connected with everything, the value Mel and her values that she and Dave have created, then I feel like you definitely want to take action and find the right roadmap and the right people to connect up with. She's got a team that can teach you and educate you on the best opportunities for you to get involved. And that's the game of business and investing, right? If you do it on your own, you're just one person, one bit of information, one life of experiences. But when you can tap into her decades of success experience and rules for success when it comes to real estate investing, and especially multifamily, which I think is going to be the biggest opportunity over the next 10 to 15 years, we're still short on housing units in this country. that's obviously a great way to go. What's kind of one thing, one piece of advice or action to end this, Mel, that someone can take right now today to sort of get on that path to finding their first property?
Well, fear is the number one thing that holds people back. It's been proven. Mindset. We're so huge on mindset that because it's a game changer, right? You can talk about real estate investing, and if Dave he can be here today, but if he was here, he'd say all the time how he speaks with people and they say they want to do this, and someday they're going to do this, but what makes them different than those who are actually doing it truly is that keyword you said, action. So, I challenge you right now to commit to yourself, and most importantly, to commit to that why of why you want to do this, why you want to grow your portfolio. Is it your kids? Is it your family? Is it you're just sick of your job? Like whatever it is, commit to your why and do an actionable item right now, or at least, by the end of the next, whenever you're listening to this, within the next 24 hours. Okay, what is it? Is it to read a book? Is it to reach out to us and watch my masterclass? Is it to reach out and speak to somebody about owner financing? Whatever you feel, and you're the only one that can determine your own goal, of course, but do something now, because as soon as you start, then your momentum has started, and you're going to get on that road path as well.
That's great piece of advice, guys. So that your action item today is take a few minutes, find a quiet place, and define your why, and make sure your why is bigger than your fear. And there's probably some fear in there. Like, and I've got 5 kids, Mel and Dave have 3, and they sat back and said, boy, what if all of a sudden our kids are growing up and we missed out on this opportunity to have this amazing experience with our kids and raise them right and help them be successful? No amount of money is going to make that better. And so if you can have a bigger why than your fear, then that's going to lead you to take action, and defining that why is a huge thing to do. Mel, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast today.
Oh, my pleasure, Leo. You're a great guy to speak with, and you share some great thoughts as well.
Are you looking for more 7-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out 7figures.com. That's the digit 7, FIGURES.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.